And I'm Kiyan.
And this is Inevitable, that podcast with nudity. You won't be able to see it though because it's all audio. So, sucks to be you, I guess.
For all those people out there who wanted to see us in the nude.
Yeah, all
Anyway,
one
this
of them.
was all zero, probably, hopefully. Anyway, this was written by Pual Donovon, Jeffery Hirschfield, and Lexx Gigeroff. Or I should probably figure out how to pronounce that Lexx Gigeroff, but whatever.
Directed by Ron Oliver.
And it aired on April 25th, 1997.
I don't think I actually mentioned that we watched Supernova, the second Lex movie, which is in the title sequence of the show, Lex 2.0 Supernova. But let me tell you, this 2.0 is not an upgrade to the
No, it's
1.0.
No, it's not. It's a slight upgrade. I enjoyed this one more than the last one, but I still didn't enjoy it.
Did you enjoy it? Because we finally, and by I don't know why I said finally, because it hasn't even been that long. They didn't even wait. They didn't even build up to it. But we finally got to see Zev's full tittage and buttocks. I'm just straight up 1 minute and 20 seconds into this episode. We've got an explicit tag. So woo.
Well, the episode gave itself an explicit, nearly the same length in.
On
It was like
Tubi,
10.
which is where I'm watching it, it was labeled a TV-14, and I was like, I think this is TVMA.
No, I mean, like, you're 14. Like, you can handle it, right?
I mean,
Like, what's
sure,
the
be
big
that
deal?
as it may, but I think TV ratings-wise, I think any nudity automatically makes it MA.
Um,
Just like how any nudity makes a movie R-rated, even if there's like nothing else offensive about the movie at all. No
yeah, even if
swear
it's
words, no blood. You see a single tit and you're like R-rated.
yeah, even if it's just an arm, like even if it's just partial nudity, like someone's lower arm, like you can't. Even if it's their hands, like you can't show that.
Yeah, not a lot of people know that about the MPAA.
Yeah, you look at someone's unclothed face, and that's an R rating right there. That must be covered at all times. Anyway, no, Lex. I think there were things about this episode that I enjoyed, but not many.
I liked Tim Curry. So once he
The
left,
po-
yeah.
the
I
Poe Man.
liked, yeah, because Tim Curry, the actor, clearly knew. He clearly knew what kind of TV show slash movie he was in when he was given the script and was acting, because he is hamming it up to the 10th degree, and I appreciate that he knew exactly what he was doing.
He was
Whereas, like,
annoying.
the guy who plays Kai or the girl who played Zev seem to be making earnest attempts at being dramatic actresses, and it's just not landing.
He was annoying. He was like my least favorite part of this episode.
Well, I'm
And I
personally
honestly,
insulted.
just like everyone else on the internet, you say one slightly disparaging thing about whatever show or movie they've dedicated their life to, and all of a sudden, all right, whatever.
Our
But
episode
no,
on movie one of Lex hasn't gone out, and I can't wait to see the reaction to that. Anyway, continue. Sorry, I interrupted.
I don't know. I would say like if the main cast, maybe Stanley isn't playing it perfectly straight, but like if Zev and Kai weren't playing it straight, I would consider this show even lesser than I already do. Like, I don't know.
I mean, you can't have all the characters not playing it straight. I just appreciated that Tim Curry came in as a guest performer, and instantly he knew exactly what kind of movie he was in and gave a performance to match. It works for a one-off character. I mean, I would agree. If it was like the main characters and they were doing it every week, I'd be like, this sucks.
Yeah, which we already are. Like, this sucks. So that just goes to show you. Yeah.
Well, the episode begins with Zev staring at Kai and being like, I long for love. And Stanley being like, I'm right here. And Zev being like, not you, Stanley.
Yeah. Right off the bat, I think this is a stronger episode. Just one, because there's less going on, I think. There's just a little,
Yes.
Lex to digest. But, yeah, get ready. I'm fully committed to the Lex puns for the next couple of weeks. But I also think it's just stronger in that, like, last week we talked about how you barely have a grasp of these characters, and this one, I think right off the bat, gives you that grasp. Like, finally, it's like you kind of get the dynamic between Stanley and Zev mostly. And
Not only
I don't know,
that,
you just get it.
Lex's introduction, voiceover, recap, whatever the hell that thing was, Lex speaking in first person, actually like explaining what the heck happened last week, made everything so much clearer. Like with 790 or 490, the robot head, like last week, we were like, why did she put it in the thing? Like, what the hell? And that's like Lex explaining that was the final part of the love slave process where they make you madly in love with like the first person you see. And so she put the robot head in there so she wouldn't have that part of the personality imposed upon her. Like, oh, I guess that makes sense now.
Yeah, I got that from the first episode. You didn't get that?
We had a multiple minute conversation last week of like she puts the head in the machine for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh, I knew. Like
Well, thanks for helping out last week, Kiyan. Thanks.
I don't remember that. I knew the entire time. Yeah, I have no memory of saying that I didn't know that. That was why she did it. But well, whatever. I was confused about the lizard blood or whatever that was like injected into her. Like that I didn't get, but the other part I did.
It's because the head of that cluster lizard got chopped off into the machine, and I guess the machine just fused their DNA for some reason.
All right, Borat style. We talked about this, yeah.
Borat style. Yeah, I think we made that joke. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Zev is like, we should look for the original planet of the Brunin G because maybe they'll like have a plan to bring Kai back to life.
And 790's like, great idea. That'll just take, 75,000 years or whatever he says.
These are 75,000 planets to analyze, which is going to take him 100 years or something. She's like, well, you better get started. And Stanley's like, hey, lady, no offense, but I don't want to spend the rest of my natural lifespan looking for the planet of the Brunin G.
Especially when they might not even have the technology needed to give Kai, his lifespan back. Because something I didn't get from the last episode was that Kai was now using some sort of artificial life extender, whatever.
You didn't get that?
No,
you didn't get that?
No,
that was why you went into cryosleep.
I was zoned out. Let me tell you, for the last 10 minutes of episode 1, I was zoned out. I
love that we clearly got 2 different half episodes from last week. We both clearly understood half the episode, but different halves.
This one, though, I think does a better job. The final 15 minutes of this, I think, were all right. I'll say that.
I found the last 15 minutes of this so dull.
It was, I don't know. It was very artistic in the last little bit. I don't know. There was a beauty to it.
Yikes.
Yeah, I went there.
So then we get the revelation that Gigeroff is still alive. Turns out she didn't die when getting thrown off the bridge of the ship. She just landed in the swamp.
That's at the bottom of the Lexx.
Yeah.
All right, so this episode really solidifies how much of an open plan the Lexx is. So we see that it has the part where Stanley almost falls down in a bit is just that's part of the ship. You fall down there and you're just at this swamp. There's probably societies living down there, people who don't even know that they're on the Lexx.
Lexx says at the beginning that they were grown and that they're and Gigeroff continuously calls it an insect ship. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's just a whole society down there.
She's back though, and better than ever.
Well, it's hard to be better than nothing. I mean, easy. It's hard not to be.
I know what you meant. I
Well,
think.
then we get some we get some more solidification of the open plan because 11 minutes into the episode, we just start to see like Zev is showering and you're like, okay, it's just going to be TV shower. Like you'll see her legs, maybe her like, chest like above the chest up, you know, will be nude, her arms, her stomach, but you won't see anything. And then just like there's just a full on shot of like boobs. And you're like, okay, so that's where this is going. And then you just see Stanley is just watching. Like,
Yeah.
Stanley!
Yeah, just literally standing there gawking, like, but I mean, really begging the question, like, where is this shower on the, like, it's just sort of an open, like, it's like a pool shower, right? Like, the showers at the pool, they're just kind of there,
I like
or the beach or something.
So I was watching the episode and alt-tabbing to my other window to write notes. So the shower scene started and I alt-tabbed to the other one and I wrote my note that was like sensuous Zev shower sequence. God, try saying that 5 times fast. And then I just write, is that a nipple in all caps? Because the like fraction of the video window that was still open just showed that. And just like no context. I had to rewind to understand. I tried to understand why she was even in the shower. No, it's not explained. She just gets in the shower, except she doesn't get in anywhere. She just hits a button and a weird, like, dangly thing from the ceiling sprays water.
Adding to this, she isn't fully unclothed. She still has that, like, I don't even know what it is, but it's like, it's part of her costume is like this suspenders looking strap thing that goes around her shoulders, which she's still wearing in the shower.
Yeah, so like I was like, wow, why is she still wearing that? That's pretty dumb. But then I was like, I remember reading that the lizard DNA became part of her, and I was like, maybe that's not, like, maybe that's just her skin, but it's clearly, like, maybe it's just her skin replaced by the lizard DNA, but it's clearly not because she's wearing that before she gets turned into the sex slave, so, like, yeah, I don't know. She's still got it on.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. She just showers in it for some reason. I don't know.
Anyway, like we mentioned, Stanley's just there, and he's like, so, like, can we, like, have sex?
She
Basically,
has,
that's what he
like,
says.
the most A+ Academy Award winning line where she says, I am a white-hot volcano of desire.
I know every episode of Lexx seems to have one of those where it's like, last episode it was, I was light in the dark world, maybe I'll be the dark, or whatever it was that he said. And this one is just like, yes, more of these.
It doesn't even make sense though, because volcanoes are not white hot. Like, what?
It's figurative, she's playing with the language here. It's good. I was into it. I liked it.
She does. So Zev does have the actually, honest to God, the best line in Lexx to date comes from Zev about 2 minutes later when Stanley threatens to kill himself because Zev won't, like, have sex with him. And she just goes, yeah. This line is great. Realistically, Stan, there's just not a lot to like about you.
Well, she goes on. She's like, you're self-centered. You're weak-willed. You're ugly. you're traitorous.
But then he trips. He trips to fall. And Zev catches him. And she's like, oh, I'm slipping. You're slipping. But I might find the strength to bring you up if you agree to go to the home planet of the Bruin G to bring Kai back. And he's like, fine. Because remember, the Lexx can only be controlled by Stanley.
Yeah. I like this whole sequence, right, where he's like, he tries to commit suicide to make them feel sorry for him, and then it totally backfires.
790 being like, yes, do it. And then, like, when she's holding him, he's like, I don't want to die. Like, And 790 says something like, "Don't accept handouts, like do it, be a man."
I know, yeah. And their reaction too, like when he's just like, "I'm gonna do it," and they're just like, "All right, then do it." Like, can you may stop making a big deal about it?
So Gigeroff shows up and is like, "Hey man, I want to eat you." Just remember, there's a throwaway line in "I Worship His Shadow" indicating / introducing that Gigeroff is a cannibal.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like,
Right.
"No," and she's like, "Yes," but then Kai stops her. I feel like I am putting as much effort into this as is legally required to explain the plot.
Essentially, Kai gets taken out of the cryostasis or awakens from it, and he reveals that he knows where the homeworld of the Brunnen G is because he learned in school.
Yeah, so literally 30 minutes of the episode were spent trying to find the planet, and then Kai just goes, "Oh, I know where that is." It's actually
That's
20
great.
minutes, but
It's great. It's awesome.
then they land.
They have this entire Chris Boucher-esque sequence where they bicker and are at each other's throats, and then Kai's just like, "Yeah, you guys don't know where that is? I know where that is."
They should have just asked him first, then we could have skipped the whole shower scene, which, like, by the way, the shower scene is I will say, better than anything in 50 Shades of Grey. Yeah, I went there. Just need to get a dig in at 50 Shades of Grey for no readily apparent reason. Except that it's in the next season of Triple Play after this, so people are going to get to hear our thoughts on that soon. Whoopee.
As long as they listen to Triple Play Movie Trilogy Podcast, check that out. It's our movie trilogy podcast, where we for some reason decided to watch 50 Shades of Grey.
That's the series that's going to get people to finally listen to Triple Play.
Which I liked. I liked 50 Shades of Grey 1. I thought it was a good movie. The second two, not so much, but I liked the first one.
Whoa, okay. No, say no more. If you spoil too many more of your thoughts, people won't have to listen to the episode. Just leave them with that bombshell of a spicy thought and let them figure out the rest. Listen to the rest.
God, can't believe I admitted that, but at the same time,
You've already admitted it
true.
on recording. It just hasn't been released yet.
Yeah. Well, it turns out Brunnen G is Gallifrey. Because it's just bombed out, destroyed.
Well, we knew this.
Looks, color palette-wise.
We knew
I
this.
had mostly forgotten. It was like, I kind of remembered because of the whole war with the insects and whatever that was. I don't even care.
It was the
perfectly
first
honest,
2
but it's
minutes
just
of
like-
I Worship His Shadow was they were blowing up the Brunnen G planet, which is not called like anything related to the words Brunnen G at all, confusingly, but anyway.
It's called Brunus. I mean,
Yeah, okay, so it's close. But
yeah.
it's not obvious, I guess is my point. But yeah, they were killing the planet because the lost, his shadow was going to be killed by the Brunnen G, a Brunnen G.
Excuse you, his divine shadow, I think you meant?
No, I really didn't.
All right, well, look, if you're not going to worship his divine shadow as is required, then I will. Doubly.
Well. All right, then.
Anyway, there's an unknown star flickering in the sky.
Yeah.
And that's all we get of that until the last 5
is
minutes.
like, I never learned that star. So, okay, cool.
Guess that's not going to come up at the end.
It was a miracle that it did, honestly.
They go to the memory chambers where the history of the Brunnen G is kept.
Yeah. The, library, basically.
Mm-hmm. And they meet the Poet Man.
Yeah, they also meet the, AI who controls the library, who's been partially overwritten by the Poet Man.
Right. Which kind of, the hologram first sort of introduces, all right, this is the library, it holds the history of the Brunnen G, and then all of a sudden it changes to the poet.
Yeah, and he's like, "I'm the last of the Brunnen G alive on this planet. You all left without me."
Yeah, apparently his backstory, which we learn in a little bit, is like he got drunk or something, passed out, and when he woke up, like the apocalypse had happened. He just
Which is
slept
really,
through it.
really funny.
Yeah, I mean, you give credit where credit's due. Like Lexx doesn't always fumble the comedy. Like it has its moments.
Yeah, the comedy though I think would land a lot more if the rest of the stuff surrounding it wasn't so unintentionally hilarious.
Maybe,
Like
yeah.
like when the three of them are walking up to the building, it's like it is hilarious how they're clearly just walking through like a green room and have been composited onto an entirely CG landscape. It's like they went for the every set ever is going to be CG plan, like before the Mandalorian really invented the like digital wall that actually made that somewhat feasible.
I know they were ahead of their time.
Well, that you could say that, sure. So like Gigeroff starts eating the brains of the previous shadows, which are still like in Lex's basement or whatever. And she's like, "Damn, these are too salty." And they're like, "Yeah, well, we're like mega old, so like, what did you expect? If you bring us Stanley, though, we'll take you to the planet of the milk-fed boys." Which there's a complete non sequitur into this where they show her what the milk-fed boys look like, and it's just like completely out of nowhere with no warning. You just see a bunch of shirtless men walking around on this sky background. And you're just like, what's happening? I looked away for a second. I looked back and I'm like, wait, what the hell? Did I miss something? Like, what? How did we get here?
Yeah. It is a total non sequitur, and it is just like, it's just the weirdest part of the episode.
Yeah, the secret planet of the milk-fed boys.
You know, you talked about this last week, but I wasn't fully on board with the idea. I think this week I am, with the idea that, like, did we just get memed into watching Lexx? Like, a lot of people have been like, yeah, Lexx, like, it's a pretty good show. I think you guys would like it. Like, did we just get memed into, like, watching this nonsensical, just what the WTF is this even show?
Is there a joke that we missed? Is everybody online who says they like this joking? Like, I don't understand. I genuinely don't understand. I said on Trust Your Doctor that I apologize to people who like this show, and I do, but also, like, how many of you actually like this show is my question.
Yeah, it's like when it comes to Lexx, there's two camps, right? There's like some people who like us who just don't get it, and then there's the elects, right? The people who are elect and they get it.
Oh, elect. I was trying to figure out what word that was.
Look,
you should have gone for selects. That would have been...
I know, Lexx like selects. It's the people who are worthy to enjoy it.
Okay, look. I'm putting out an open call here. We put out email at the end of the episode. People who actually like Lexx, what do you actually specifically like about it? Because when I looked online last week, and again partially this week, like, all I see is people going, "Oh, it's weird," or like, "Oh, Zev is hot." Like, what are some concrete things that you like about this show?
Yeah, it's mostly like 95% of the reason that I've seen online for people liking this is like, yeah, Zev. Like, it's pretty much my experience of seeing, why people like it.
At least the show was generous and showed us all of Zev, I suppose, for all the people who love Zev at home, who are like, yes, she is the perfect woman. But anyway.
They head deeper into the memory chamber, and they're confronted with all these doors that they can, choose to go through, and each one has a different topic or something, kind of like a museum or whatever, where it's like there's the nature door, and there's the civilization door, and there's a bunch of other ones. And then, so
the life
Zev,
door.
Right, Zev and Kai, I believe, go through, like, the life room or something. Life door.
Yeah, except it's really funny because Kai's like, that symbol means something else too, but I don't remember what it is. And they're like, yeah, it's probably fine. And they like go inside and they're like, oh yeah, it means burst of life. And Zev goes, well, what does that mean? He's like, I have no idea.
We find out in a bit, but Stanley's too chicken to go in. He's too chicken to follow them. So he's just
Classic
kind of...
Stanley.
Yeah, Stanley Tweedle. Wow.
Stanley's still my favorite character. Just saying.
Yeah, I think he's mine too. I like how, I don't know, just pathetic he is. He's probably close to what I would be if I was thrown into like a sci-fi scenario, so, really identify with his character.
You really relate to his position in this universe.
Yeah. The poet hologram shows up again, and he like coaxes Stanley into a different door. Through a different door.
He's like, do you want love? You should come through this love door instead. And Stanley's like, that sounds great.
So he goes to it.
The poet's like, what burns inside? And I was like, I would have guessed syphilis based on the context of this door, but the poet says loneliness.
Heartburn?
Cancer?
Oh my god.
I didn't realize you wanted something like poetic, Mr. Poet Man.
That's the one, like, kind of, you get the Poet Man, or like, you understand him, because he's like, he sees himself as sort of this, like, I don't know, tragic and underappreciated artist, and like, but his poetry is like, it's not that good. It's okay.
His poetry sucks, actually.
No, I thought it was okay. I don't have very high standards though, so I thought it was okay.
Oh. Well, I'll add in a qualification that I don't actually know a lot about poetry, so...
Neither do I. I've read, like, so much of it. I don't know jack.
I was going to say, it's not even adjacent to my field of study, though, so...
It's adjacent to mine, and in fact, I have studied it, yet I know almost nothing. Then again, I forgot, like, 90% of what I learned in school. Kindergarten through college,
that said, like, true wisdom is knowing what you don't know, or something like that.
What does that mean? Sounds like a real cop-out for people who don't know jack like me and who just like want to come up with some snappy one-liner about why they're not, inept or something. I don't know.
Look, I'm Googling it. I bet it was like Socrates or something.
Plutarch or Plato, not Plutarch.
It was literally Socrates. Okay. The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. Socrates.
Yeah, I bet you can really like, you can just feel the stuck-uppery of that statement.
The stuck-uppery.
You just know that he was like, yeah, this is good. Like, this is cool. This is a good one-liner here.
Thinking to himself as he's carving his stone tablet.
And Plato freaking off to the side taking notes, just like, yeah, okay.
Anyway, so Kai and Zev, wow, forgot her name for a hot second there.
Zev Bellringer or Bellringer
gets strapped to the saws from Dr. No or Goldfinger.
Well, so first there's a dance sequence, right? They're in this like alternate universe. They're floating through space, and then all of a sudden they're in this sort of ballroom of like lights and different colors, and they have this moment where they dance.
All right, so here's my interpretation. My interpretation was that was just a vision that the room was showing Zev to like distract her from the fact that they were like drugging her and strapping her to a chair.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was, I believe. Like, you can see later on when you see them strapped to the tables, there are these like, there's these straps, but they look like hands kind of holding them down, and they're affecting them, obviously. I think there's some on their brains or their heads or whatever. Not directly on their brains, but on their heads.
Yeah, just touching the meaty, fleshy part of the brain that we could see in all its glory consumed by Gigeroff multiple times throughout this episode.
Yeah. chewing with her mouth
Yeah,
open.
might I mention that I was eating breakfast during the first 15 minutes of this episode? So that was great.
Heck yeah. Lexx, yeah. That's not
That's
a good
no,
one,
that
but
one didn't quite
it's
work.
one.
Sorry.
Sorry, not all of the collection can be great, all right?
I'm beeping all of these out in post. I'm done. I'm staging my revolution by bleeping these out in post.
You can't stop the revolution.
The revolution will not be televised.
It'll be broadcast via a podcast. I guess I'm just a great rhymer too, as well as a great punter. And
Poets and you didn't
be
even know
stopped.
it.
Exactly.
Anyway, in the
Move over, poet man.
love room, Poet Man's hologram is like, ah, yes, a woman. Now I can return to life. And Stanley's like, no, I'm a man. But his protests fall on deaf ears. Mainly
Because this was all pre-recorded,
yeah, because this
right?
is pre-programmed. So like,
So there's nothing he can do about it. Yeah, he gets strapped down and he's about to be injected
with like Poet Man's seed
or
something.
Yeah, it's a vial. I mean, it doesn't explicitly tell you what this is, but it's a vial full of like white liquid, so it's obviously, his semen. Like, yeah.
So he thinks he's gonna die. He's like,
Freaking
well,
awesome.
shoot. Luckily for him, Gigeroff has been looking for him because she wants to get the hell out of Dodge, and the only way to do that, again, is with Stanley, because, again, Stanley's hand controls the ship.
Mm-hmm. So she saves him.
From imminent destruction.
Or at least getting jabbed, like, with Poet Man's sperm, like...
Which, like, would that even do anything to him?
It would just hurt.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably not healthy to have, like... Probably not healthy to have sperm just, like, injected into your body, I guess. I mean, I can't believe this is where this podcast ended up. You had told me that was a sentence, a question I would have ever asked on the podcast 7 years ago. I would have been like, all right, we'll cancel the show right now.
It's been a long journey, but we finally made it.
Like, what was the machine's plan if he was actually a woman? Was it gonna, like, direct it directly into her uterus? Like...
I believe that's what it was. I believe it was like it's going to take this like vial with a needle and just inject it right, into where it's supposed to go.
Where it's supposed to go.
Which for Stanley obviously would mean like getting poked in the balls. Because he's strapped down.
That
like,
sounds...
Right, so that's where it's headed.
Yeah, that sounds like mega not fun. Sounds super painful.
It's actually sickening to think about like what this would be.
They don't put this much effort into it on screen. Like,
they had no 1997/6 when this was made, like, or maybe it was 97 when it was made, who knows, like, they did not for a second assume that like 25 years later this would be like discussed in the level of detail that we're discussing it on a podcast.
I don't think they had any ideas that this would be discussed at all. Kind of get the sense that they just had a vision of something wild and wacky and were like, let's just do it. And they were like, okay.
Well, anyway, Gigeroff lies. She tells Stanley that Zev and Kai are back on the Lexx, so they need to get back there too.
Because Stanley's still in love with Zev. In lust with, quite frankly. Like, let's not kid ourselves here.
Yeah, yeah, that line later on where he's like, I can't do it. I can't leave my friends
Yeah,
behind.
like, what?
Like, your friends? All right. All right.
Your friends have left you to die, like, multiple times already, and it's been, like, 2 days since you met them.
Yeah, and he's betrayed them, tried to use them to his own ends multiple times. Clearly not given a rat's ass about Kai. Clearly not given a rat's ass about Zev beyond her potential to have sex with him.
And that's why we love
And
Stanley.
he's just playing.
Or something.
Yeah, flat Stanley, right? Because he's just this sort of one-dimensional guy. Did you ever read that book, Flat Stanley?
Yep.
Yeah, where he gets crushed, if I remember correctly, by a bulletin board
Yes.
hanging above his bed.
Yep. Bingo.
And then his life is so much worse, you know? He's flat, but alright, whatever.
Would your life not be worse if you were crushed by a bulletin board?
There are benefits. Imagine like a gory and edgy remake of Flat Stanley where he's crushed and there's just like blood splatter everywhere.
The Quentin Tarantino edition.
Yeah, exactly. Like Happy Tree Friends or something.
That sounds terrible, actually. But hey, don't knock it till you try it, I guess. I don't know. Well, speaking of not knocking it till you try it, Kai gets cut in half.
Yeah, he just gets razored in half.
It's just like, lol, Kai's freaking dead again!
Yep.
But
meanwhile, Gigeroff and Stanley have inadvertently activated some sort of self-destruct sequence.
it wasn't inadvertent. Gigeroff wants to blow the planet up because she hates Kai and Zev.
Oh, she did it on purpose? I didn't realize. Yeah. It's like this, the way you activate it is like through this glowing ant farm thing embedded into the wall.
You push some buttons and it works.
So she and Stanley, I believe, go back to the Lexx.
But then he discovers that Zev and Kai are not actually there, so this is when he's like, I'm not leaving my friends, and leaves. And goes back to the same room, and then Gigeroff comes back and slices his hand off. And then leaves with his hand.
I thought this was going to be permanent. I didn't think he was going to, like, get it reattached.
Yeah, I thought
end.
so too, but guess we just have, like, cellular regeneration technology in this universe. Which, okay.
Maybe Stanley was secretly injected with some lizard DNA too. So he just grows it back. No, you clearly see it getting reattached.
Yeah.
Anyway, Stanley then goes on his own little adventure. He converses with the prophet lady from the first episode. She's talking to him from the distant past.
Yeah, because he accidentally bumps into, like, one of the skin-thick slivers that they turn people into in the museum in the Saw, which they turned Kai into. And it reveals this memory where the prophet's talking with someone and she's like, look, Stanley. And he's like, my name's not Stanley. And she's like, no, but in the future, a guy named Stanley is going to accidentally touch your brain print. So I'm talking to him now. He's like, what? She's like, Stanley, I need you to go to section 83, row 249, lock 35, lift the cover, look inside, and that's how you'll save Zev and Kai. Okay, go. You're running out of time. Yeah, I wrote all of that down just so that I could say that on the podcast, and it wasn't worth it.
All right. Well, okay then.
So he does that. He opens the cover to reveal a skylight looking down upon the saw that's about to cut Zev in half. And he's like, oh no, we gotta save Zev. the star in the sky revives Kai somehow. I actually don't know how this happens because I looked away from the screen for 30 seconds, and by the time I looked back, it was already over.
It was you actually see him like the two halves of him kind of coming back into one, like they just kind of coalesce together. Just
Sounds really cool, but I missed it.
It was honestly kind of it was kind of gross. Like it was off-putting.
I mean, him being cut in half was pretty gross to begin with.
It was grosser. Like it was yeah. Grosser. It was exactly.
Interesting.
It was the coming back together was worse than the cutting in two. Anyway, they need to deactivate the self-destruct sequence, which we didn't actually mention how this is all working. So, like, apparently the star, like their sun, is being held in some sort of stasis by some, something on the planet is holding the star in stasis, which is why it's not going supernova, which, when Stanley deactivated it before, unlocked that sort of stasis state, and now the star is going supernova. I explained that in the worst way possible, but that's exactly what it was.
Well, you got there in the end.
So they want to reactivate the stasis. So they go back to the thing that looks like an ant farm embedded into the wall. And yeah, this is another moment of comedy that I thought landed, where it's like Stanley chooses the wrong button or whatever, and like there's a crosshair on his head, and it's like, you better choose the right one next time or you're gonna get blown to smithereens.
You have 10 heartbeats to pick the right choice.
Right.
He's like,
He chooses the right one though. He gets it in the end. But it doesn't work.
Well, it does work, but it's like stasis will be restored in 12 minutes, and then it's like supernova will occur in 10 minutes, and Kai's like, well...
And supernova will occur in 11 minutes and 59 seconds.
Meanwhile, the brains have made off with the Lexx, because they told Gigeroff that they need the full Stanley to control the ship, so she's like, fine, I'll go get him. And as soon as she leaves, the brains just imitate Stanley's voice and they leave.
Mm-hmm.
But the ship gets drawn back by Stanley, the stasis field. I don't know.
It's drawn back by like the combined powers of the sun and the additional star, the blue star or whatever it was.
Yeah, we don't even know what the blue star is. It just does things.
No, yeah. So they basically go outside to watch the sun explode and themselves die. And I don't know, I started liking the episode here. There was there was a visual beauty to it. There's sort of this somber resignation to death.
I wonder if there's any correlation between you enjoying it and the main characters of the show being about to die.
Yeah. When you put it that way. I like the stuff with the blue star too. It was out of nowhere, but it was just like, it was something interesting at least, I guess. Where it's like, so basically what happens is the sun's about to go supernova. They're about to, meet their end. All of them. There's some good dialogue here too. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was, I don't know, it was touching. Obviously not too touching.
Clearly.
But then the blue star comes into effect, and it stops the supernova in time and draws the Lexx back to them, and gives them time to escape.
And then they get on the Lexx and leave. Oh, and Gigeroff gets vaporized on the planet.
Yeah. It says that it's not their time to die or something like that. I don't know.
They have to fulfill the prophecy. Kai has to kill the divine shadow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what Kai says. He's like, I guess the prophecy was wrong. I'm going to die on my home planet instead of killing the divine shadow. But he lives to see another day, another episode of Lexx, at least.
Whoopee. I hate Kai's hairstyle. Can I just say this? I hate his hairstyle. I hate the hairstyle they've given him, I guess.
Huh. I'm indifferent to it.
I have no reasoning for this. I'm not going to even try justify it. I'm just going to say that I hate it, and that's it.
I mean, imagine how long it is when it's like undone. Like it's probably down
For
to
some
his
reason, that
ankles.
makes me
Like
uncomfortable.
it's like down to his ankles. Probably, and it looks that long.
20 years worth of growth. Probably more. It's been 87 years
Yeah,
of
84.
hair growth. 84. And that's that. That's the end of the episode of Lexx.
Kai goes back into cryo sleep, I believe, at the end.
Although he doesn't need to because he's like fully alive now, but. Or is he
Well,
not? Is he still working off proto blood? I
I
don't
thought he
know.
was still on the proto blood.
Unclear.
He said that he was. I don't know, but he also said that he was okay. I don't know. I have no idea.
Unclear. To be confirmed or deconfirmed next week.
Or just not touched on.
Deconfirmed. No, I think that's going to be a recurring plot thread of this season. I say halfway through the season.
Yeah. At least there are only 2 weeks left.
Yeah,
I didn't mean for that one. I didn't mean to do that one. Like
Oh
it just.
God,
I
you're
thought
slipping. You're slipping into Lex puns.
It came to me at the last second, so I went for it, but it wasn't that good. At this rate, although I have to say, like at this rate, I don't think we're going to continue on with Lexx. If the next 2 episodes, at least, I think you agree, but I'll just say that I'm speaking for myself. Like, if the next 2 episodes are not, like, a major step up, I don't think we're going to continue.
Oh no, I am so simply devastated that we're never gonna watch any more Lexx. I mean, I'll say this. Look, I agree. And I'll say this. I do procrastinate watching things for the podcast. You know, whether it be Doctor Who, Torchwood, Sapphire and Steel, etc. I always seem to wait till some of the last minutes. But that's not, like, because I want to. It's usually because I get busy and then I forget about it. Lexx is the first thing in a long while, that I've like, I actively procrastinate watching it because I want to. Because I'm like, I have to wait as long as possible to watch Lexx.
Yeah, I feel that. It's not a show that makes you want to watch it.
Yeah, I'm just not invested in it at all. Like, I'm not invested in the, like, dozens of sex jokes with Zev. I'm not invested in Kai's story. I, like, just don't care about 790. The characters all at least have characters, which is a plus. They all have unique characters, but, like, I'm just not invested in the way they're being presented to us as audience members.
Yeah, I just don't care. I almost hate to be this harsh, but like, so much of this show just feels like a waste of time.
I think it's partially because these episodes are just, like, really badly paced and plotted. And, like, last week was an hour and a half of frenetic, frantic, what the hell is going on? Could have easily been split into 2 very solid, very strong 45-minute episodes. You know, in Blake 7, in the first episode, we don't even meet the whole crew. We meet Blake and we meet Villa, if I remember correctly.
No.
Actually, we only meet Blake in episode 1.
Yep.
And in episode 2, it's not till episode 2 that we meet Villa and Avon, and then we acquire the other characters going forward. Compare that to last week, hour and a half, we tried to introduce and meet every single character, including Lexx, who is a character, and has a voice and a consciousness. Mm-hmm. You know, so we tried to introduce Stanley, Zev, Kai, 790, Lexx, to an extent, Gigeroff and the Divine Shadow all in one episode. And they give each character such little time to breathe that you just don't care. To me, personally. Like, I just don't care. And even in this episode, when we finally got some breathing room with the characters, like you said at the beginning, like the characters are more defined and like we're finally actually getting their relationship with each other. By that point, I'm already so de-invested that like it's difficult to get me back into it to care again.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with what you just said. I think that's a pretty good assessment.
But I mean,
Yeah.
I guess we're gonna see how it goes for the next two episodes. Maybe episode 4 will just be like mind-blowingly good, and we'll be like, "Damn, we have to watch more to find out how this golden nugget of quality came out of this." I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just a little disappointed overall, I think, with Lexx so far.
Maybe we came into it with too high expectations. Maybe people should have told us it sucked when we came in, and we would have been like, "This is gold, gold, I tell you."
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't actually really have much to say about this episode.
No, I
Besides
hope the
that,
Lexx one
surprisingly.
is better. But I guess, let's find out when we watch the next one.
The worst thing this show has given us is these puns.
It's the best thing, I think you mean. The show is clearly not doing it for us, so we need to entertain ourselves in some other way. And by we, I mean I.
Jeez. All right, well, I've got some emails to read this week, but we've also got only one America's Canada German 10 actors for the week. American, he's American. Tim Curry. Tim Curry's the only one I looked up.
I just looked up two just now that I think we didn't look up on the first. Yeah, so I guess that means I should start since we go.
Yeah, probably.
All right. So we have Ellen Dubin, I guess, playing Gigeroff. She has a very extensive career. She's still acting, and her career goes all the way back to the late 80s, actually. Just reading off her list here, just random shows: Cold Sweat / movies, Cold Sweat, Tammy and the T-Rex, no idea what that is. Scanner Cop 2, sounds interesting. Oh, she was in Sailor Moon. Due South, Pacific Blue, Best Actress. She was in that. She looks like she has other roles in Lexx. She plays Queen Genevieve G. Rhoda, which is already Gigeroff. Like, okay, you can extrapolate Gigeroff from that name.
Yeah.
So there's probably some shenanigans going on with that. She was in 2003's A Wrinkle in Time, Star Hunter, Mutant X. Oh, she was in Napoleon Dynamite. She played Eileen in Napoleon Dynamite. One of my favorite movies of all time. If you haven't watched Napoleon Dynamite, do yourself a favor and go watch it. It's amazing.
Do you know who Eileen is?
Yeah, she's that. I think she's the character at the end that Napoleon's uncle tries to sell his Tupperware to. I think I've watched Napoleon Dynamite is probably my most watched movie ever. I've watched it like 30 times. At least 20, between 20 and 30 times. Oh, she was in the Elder Scrolls.
I actually think I knew then.
5 Skyrim.
Well, that's great.
I'm the first and last person to refer to that as the Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim, and not just Skyrim.
Yes.
Oh, she was in Fallout 4. Murdoch Mysteries. I don't know what any of these things are. She's been in a lot, okay? She's been in a lot.
Great.
Yeah.
Tim Curry's also been in a lot. There was a tweet recently that turned out to be, that sparked some interesting conversation, I should say, that was like, you can tell a lot about a person by which movie they know Tim Curry from. And, really like to know what that says about the people who know Tim Curry from Lexx. But anyway.
I don't know him from anything else, at least as far as I know.
Well, so he got his break playing Dr. Frankenfurter in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. He's been in a lot. he did a lot of stage acting before that. Let's see, he's been in the TV movie Annie. He was in Clue, the movie, as the kind of butler character. He voiced Nigel Thornberry in a lot of movies. He voices, I think he voices a character called Mr. Curry in the Paddington Bear TV show, so I wonder if that's just a self-insert. He plays Pennywise in the 1990 It movie TV miniseries. He's got some voice acting roles in Tailspin, Peter Pan and the Pirates, Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond. He's in the Aladdin TV show. He's got a couple voice acting roles. Wow. The Little Mermaid TV shows. He's in some episodes of Earth 2, which is a show I still think we should watch for this show. He voices King Acorn in the Sonic the Hedgehog TV show. He's in a movie called Congo. He plays Long John Silver in the Muppet Treasure Island movie, which is great, by the way. I've seen that. Let's see.
Lexx.
He's in Lexx, obviously. He was in an episode of Freakazoid. He was in an episode of Monk.
Oh my god, Freakazoid. I haven't thought about that in a decade.
Well, until right now. He voiced some characters in Voltron, The Third Dimension. He was in the 2000 Charlie's Angels movie. He's got a lot of acting credits. He was in an episode of Samurai Jack. Will and Grace. Hey Arnold.
Hey.
She voices Nigel Thornberry in all the TV episodes. I see here. Let's see. He's in Monty Python's Spamalot. He's in a Sesame Street Christmas Carol as the narrator. He's in an episode of Psych, SpongeBob, Alice, Criminal Minds.
Keep going.
Young Justice. He voices Palpatine in the Clone Wars TV show. The 3D animated one. And some Rocky Horror Picture Show stuff recently. You're all caught up to date now.
Damn.
All of the big things Tim Curry's been in. Yep.
Well,
he has 235 acting credits.
Jesus. Well, on the flip side of that, we got Tom Gallant playing the voice of the Lexx. 17 credits, sorry. I was about to undersell him there. No, he has 17 credits to his name, including such hits as Buried on Sunday, Cadillac Girls, Dolores Claiborne, Deeply, Emily of New Moon, One Hit Wonder, Jesse Stone, Thin Ice, a couple of Jesse Stone TV movies, looks like. I don't know what those are, but he was in them. And yeah.
Nice.
I think that's it.
I've got 3 emails to read.
Oh, right. We got a lot of feedback. Ooh. Not that we don't appreciate it, but it's like, yeah, all right, let's strap in for we got a lot.
All right, let me start with this one. Yeah, we have a lot. Yeah, so I have an email from Boz for the end of The Prisoner. The subject line is McGowan's Blues. Hey chaps, so what did we think of The Prisoner 2009? I managed all 6 episodes, and on the whole, it was pretty good. Very well shot, some nice visual choices with more than a few nods and winks to the original good stuff. The narrative was interesting, and the performances of the players on point. However, this show should have stood on its own without the prisoner trappings and would have been better. It really didn't need it. So because of this, the viewer will always, even without thinking, compare it with its illustrious predecessor. The concepts on display in the original are numerous and complex, to say the least, and The Prisoner 2009 doesn't reach that. When a show has a finale like Fallout, it can't be topped. Would this show have been more regarded without the remake tag? On the other hand, maybe trapping the new version within the context of the old show it can never escape from was the point of it all along. Looking forward to Lexx. Not watched it since it was released and never stuck with it, but I'll watch along and see how we go. Be seeing you, Boz. P.S. There's a song called McGowan's Blues on Roy Harper's 1969 album. Oh, God. Folkjokopus? Folkjokopus?
I saw that. I have no idea how to pronounce it.
It's The Prisoner in Song, runs for 17 minutes, and is a good a song as The Prisoner is a TV show. Enjoy. Great. Definitely going to check that song out now.
I do think the Prisoner 2009 could have shed its prisoner skin and been its own thing.
It probably could have. I think it needed that skin to get anybody to watch it, though. Because would you have watched this? Would anybody have watched this if it didn't have
Who knows?
that skin
Who
on
knows?
top?
Probably not, but
It's so hard to get people to watch new TV shows nowadays. I can't imagine many people would have watched. I can't imagine AMC maybe would have even fronted the money for that in that scenario.
Yeah.
So, it might be a case of what we got is better than nothing. Like at the beginning of that season when I mentioned the Unmutual Prisoner archive page that was like, okay, sure, maybe The Prisoner 2009 wasn't great, but have you ever considered what we could have gotten instead? Like, consider the alternative.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm sure people are like, well, the best thing is if we hadn't gotten it at all, but like somebody was going to do it at some point. So like, but anyway, thanks for reaching out, Boz. Some interesting thoughts. Glad you at least enjoyed The Prisoner 2009, had a good time with it. That's all that matters, I think, at the end of the day. And glad you watched along with us and you'll be joining us for Lexx.
Yeah, sorry for dragging you down into Lexx with us. Unless you enjoy it, then, more power to you, I guess.
So my next two emails are from Sergeant Drano. The first one is about the reboot Prisoner. Hey guys, I enjoyed your coverage of the Prisoner reboot. While I did not particularly enjoy the show itself, even though I really, really wanted to, the most entertaining aspect of your coverage was to find out whether you guys liked it or not, especially in comparison to the original. Given your propensity to swerve in the opposite direction of fandom, I really did wonder. But in the end, it sounds like you came away with more or less the same feeling I did. Kind of bland, kind of underwhelming at the end. Yes, it answers pretty much all the questions it raised, but do we really like those answers? I did not. It was all a dream, always feels like the biggest, most classic cop-out a story can take, and that is where it went. All the weird stuff doesn't have to make sense, doesn't have to be reasoned out, because it simply was not real. It can mean anything and nothing. Unlike Dylan, I also did not like the idea of Six becoming the leader of the village at the end, essentially becoming everything he was standing against up until that point. To me, that is completely contrary to the spirit and message of the original and the character of Six from the original, which is fine, except that if you're going to call your story The Prisoner, there's an expectation, I think, of keeping to the spirit of the original work. This feels more like a perversion, a subversion. Be seeing you, Sergeant Drano, Station 7, the door.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. Although to the it was all a dream thing, remember that this was 2009 where that maybe necessarily wasn't as much as a cliche. This is something I have to remember when I'm watching, since I've been watching a lot of movies from like the 60s and earlier, and I'll watch something and be like, that's so cliche. But then my roommate, film historian, expert will have to be like, yeah, it's cliche now, but remember it's cliche because this movie did it first.
It was just a dream has been a thing for like forever, since the beginning of time.
Prove it.
I can't, but it's been something for like a long time.
Maybe it just feels that way. You know, the word selfie only rose to prominence in 2013. Feels like it's been in use forever.
Yeah, but the thing has been around since cameras were invented. There's like 1800 selfies,
Those are called self-portraits, sir.
No, not when you turn the camera towards yourself.
They're self-portraits. They're experimental self-portraits. That's literally where the phrase selfie comes from. Yeah. So, like... Anyway, well, Sergeant Drano, seems to have a more negative reaction to the Prisoner reboot than Boz. Although to your last point again, would people have even would they have even fronted the money if it didn't have the Prisoner name attached? I don't know. I just don't know. I am inclined to say no. But anyway, Sergeant Drain is one of the people who originally recommended Lexx to us. So by the time he gets to our response to his commentary in this episode, he's probably listened to our first episode and be like, damn, they betrayed me. They hate
He's probably not listening to this at this point. He's just vowed never to listen to our podcasts again.
So we've got an email here. Hey, a subject line, Lexx, I worship his shadow. Hey guys, at long last you are doing Lexx. I have long thought that this show would be a really good fit for your discussion style. At last we shall find out.
Oh no.
When Lexx... I respond to that at the end. When Lexx first aired in the United States, it started on the Sci-Fi Channel with Season 2. It was billed as, Are You Ready for Something Strange? In other words, it was mostly promoted as just a show where weird stuff happened. That is how I was introduced to it with no knowledge of what had come before. It wasn't until much later that I discovered the underlying epic mythology of the show, and it really impressed me. You guys get to start from the actual beginning. I like to say that if Canadians and Germans had made Blake Seven instead of the British, it would have turned out like Lexx. The show is capable of being serious, but it is also got a lot of really dark humor in it. The tone reminds me of the Doctor Who story Paradise Towers. I'll be interested to see if you guys also feel the similarities. From I Worship His Shadow, what impresses me the most is the amazing detail and efficiency in the world building. We are thrown into the world of Lexx, and it feels like a fully formed place from the very start. Less than a minute in, and we are already learning about the Insect Wars, the loss of the Bunanji, the Time Prophet and his divine shadow. We get an epic battle, followed by a 2008-year time jump, and then the culture of the League of 20,000 Planets. There's such a lot going on here. I'll be very interested to hear what you guys make of it. Undead assassins, Thodin and his bug bomb, Gigeroff, the wicked cluster lizards, security guards, love slaves. Truly, I can hardly wait. May his merciful shadow fall upon you, Sergeant Drain of Station 7, the door. Well, to the first point, sure, I think it fits our discussion style. I think for something to fit our discussion style doesn't mean we have to like it. To the latter points, I do think that something that I, at least, liked about the last episode was the mythology of the whole thing. Although, like I said then, and like I reiterate now, they kind of throw a little bit too much at you all at once. You're kind of left wondering... At least I was what's important and what's not important? What do I need to know moving forward? Do I need to know everything? Do I need to know nothing? Does it not matter at all? And I don't know.
Yeah, my reaction to the initial lore dump that starts you off with is my reaction to anything that starts with a lore dump is just oh my god, stop. I do not care.
It's a really curious method to get someone invested in a show to just dump the lore and be like, yeah, see, you care now. Something like Doctor Who. Yeah, let's compare it to Doctor Who. Doctor Who doesn't start in the first episode by the Doctor introducing himself and him going, I'm a Time Lord from the planet Gallifrey in the constellation of Castorba, some 900 years old. I travel in a space and time machine called the TARDIS. The Gallifreyans, they're the Time Lords. They're really mean. They basically try to control the whole galaxy. They fought a big war with the Daleks, but they don't do that anymore. The Doctor Who didn't dump, even the reboot didn't do that. They didn't just dump the lore on you like that. At the beginning, they introduced it throughout the show. Blake Seven did this. Sapphire and Steel never did this because we never got really any lore till the end of the show. And I don't know. It's a really ballsy move. I will say that it's a really ballsy move for the first 5 minutes of your show to be like, guess what? Here's all of our lore.
Yeah, some people are gonna definitely like that, and others are just not gonna like it.
Yeah, and sorry to say, that's just that's not what I like in a show. But hey, if people like it, that's more power to you. Thanks for reaching out, though, Sergeant Randall. Hope you're still listening.
Yeah.
If you are listening, what do you like about Lexx besides just the weird mythology? Because, I don't know. I feel like I can like the mythology of something and really dislike the execution or the visuals or the TV show based around that mythology,
Brunanji Insect War spinoff when?
Lexx, I was thinking about this earlier while watching. Lexx is the perfect show for like Hollywood is so intent on remaking things now. Lexx is the perfect show for like some upstart creative to come in and remake like season 1 of Lexx. Take all this mythology, introduce it in an organic way, update the special effects, make the characters maybe slightly more likable. It's like so rife for a remake in my opinion, because there is a lot of mythology that can be really cool if it was just presented in a cool way. But hey, that's just that. My opinion might change in the next 2 weeks. Who knows? Anyway, that's all the emails from on this side.
Well, we got some comments on social media as well. So these couple are from the For the Prisoner, Checkmate from Boz. So he kind of just reiterated what he said in his email. So he goes, an okay series. See my email for more details. Lots to recommend it, but it's a shadow of the original. Agree with Dylan in that the use of Beach Boys tracks was a brilliant idea. Also, 909 could be a Beatles reference. Their song, One After 909, maybe? If you watch the 6 original episodes that have the titles of the new show, will it make a coherent narrative? Zany emoji face. And then I just responded with, good questions. Definitely not a burden to others. Although I didn't mean it sarcastically, I just said it sarcastically for some reason. But anyway.
You meant it as a reference to questions are a burden to others, answers a burden to oneself.
Exactly, yeah. He also, looks like Boz also made fish finger wraps. So delicious, it's worth being the prisoner, and with another zany emoji face. So those look pretty good. Hope they were pretty good. And then there's another comment from Boz, but it's just about the blog, so he wanted the link to it. So, and then Steven also has a comment on the episode here. It really is weird that Peter Parker is a jerk even before he puts on the new suit. Just goes to show you that, I guess, clothes don't make the person, He's a jerk before the Venom, or the Parasite, he's a jerk before Venom. So, that last part with me is...
The biggest oversight in Spider-Man 3 is like he's just a jerk and then he gets the parasite. It's like, what?
Yeah, beats the heck out of me. 2007, weird year.
Maybe it changed order in editing and they just didn't even think about it.
Maybe, yeah. Wow. I didn't even think of that possibility, but hey. Well, we got a lot of comments also. I mentioned on Twitter that we were watching Lexx. And we got a lot of comments for it. So here we go. I'm trying to find it, but Twitter's being stupid as it usually is. Oh my god, where is this? Now there's just nothing on the screen now. They're just literally just displaying nothing on Twitter.
Nice.
Okay, here we go. So I was like, can't believe I'm about to watch the first episode of Lexx. So we had a comment on that tweet. Some of the comments I read last week, but I don't think I got all of them for some reason. So, Fury Kitten, I don't know how to pronounce this person's name, says, "Oh, please stick with it. Lexx is so underrated." And we got into a somewhat lengthy discussion of like, yeah, we're gonna stick with it if we like it, and yeah, apparently Fury Kitten likes the 3rd series, but doesn't like the 4th.
Devastating.
And Making Blake 7, friend of the show, who's been on Zenith of Blake 7 podcast a couple times, joined us for Sapphire and Steel as well, says, I'm pretty open-minded, but you boys are getting into some really weird shit lately. And then I responded, weird shit doesn't even begin to describe what we witnessed watching the first episode of Lexx. None of this is on us, though. We sacrificed our free will for the sake of others' entertainment sometime in late 2017. Which is true. We did.
Yeah, when we decided to start Zenith.
Mm-hmm. And then we had another one here. I'm trying to find it. Oh, right. This one is actually just from earlier today. Watching Lexx episode 2. Wasn't a fan of the first one, but Lexx, see where this goes. That was my original comment. And then Making Blake 7 also responded here, saying, stop now. They made 346 episodes, and they were all shit. Well,
I think I commented. I think I replied to that tweet with, "Oh my God, we're not alone."
Right. You did. And yeah, I mean, I guess there is at least one other person out there who doesn't like Lexx. Glad to see that we're not alone, and that the esteemed John agrees with us.
We have a lot of Johns who listen to the podcast and communicate with us.
Isn't John this like second most common name in the world?
I think so, actually.
With Muhammad being the first, obviously. I guess it's not obvious, but it is. I'm pretty sure it's the first most common name. Probably thanks to Indonesia, which has like the fourth or third highest population in the world, or something like that.
Brilliant. Just brilliant. Well, thanks everybody for reaching out and communicating with us and telling us what you think of Lexx. Thanks to everybody dropping us comments that they love Lexx. Good to know that Lexx has such a big... Good to know that the Lexx fandom has such an overlap with the decorative vegetable fandom. That's interesting.
Yeah, and unfortunately we don't have that overlap, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we are known to stray from fandom all the time.
True enough.
Whatever that like really means.
Yeah, it's true.
Other than all of that, I have no more to say about Lexx this week, but I can believe that I'll have plenty more to say next week. So, if you would like to email us and reach out, tell us about Lexx, you can reach us at thedoctor@decadentvegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, your thoughts on Lexx, Supernova. You can find us on YouTube at Decadent Vegetable, and us on any podcasting platform at Inevitable, a classic sci-fi podcast. Be sure to leave a rating if you like the show.
Check us out on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor, like us on Facebook. Also check us out on Twitter at TYD Podcast, and follow us on Twitter. Next time we're going to be watching Eating Pattern, but until then, the end.